In the film business, there's something called working with actors, and this discusses how to handle actors at their worst and actors at their best. There have been some iconic blowouts and distressing method acting. Directors must adapt their vision to suit the actors who do extraordinary things to ensure their performance is at their top caliber. Here are popular actors who took their movie roles way too far. Anne Hathaway, Les Mis Mentales. Anne Hathaway plays Fantine in Les Mis, a woman who gets her rose-tinted view of the world crushed by the reality ensued by mental torment and physical malnutrition. The most iconic song being I Dreamed a Dream, where a visibly destroyed Anne Hathaway screams to the heavens asking why her wondrous view of the world is tainted and how naive she was. Anne Hathaway won an Oscar for her role, but she couldn't even enjoy the award due to her deprived mental state and could barely stand up to the effects of malnutrition, and even stating, I kinda lost my mind doing that movie and it hadn't come back yet. She claims that she wasn't in a grounded place in her life and described how it took a long time to come back from it. She had lost an unhealthy amount of weight in 2 weeks at the age of 30 and also recently married. Huge iconic moments in her life were made all the more uncomfortable when she felt empty and hollow on the inside. She had difficulties celebrating her life and her achievements up until that point and faked being thankful for the Oscar because of her deprived physical state. We thank Anne Hathaway for a truly iconic performance and understand the physical torment she went through for our enjoyment and believe she's fully recovered from it and is living life to the fullest. Christian Bale goes off the hay bale. Popular actors primarily find their fame because of their extraordinary talent, and woe to anyone who comes between them and their performance. On the set of Terminator Salvation, actor Christian Bale gets distracted by the director of photography walking into his vision during a scene. The DOP wanted to adjust the lighting for a more appropriate shade, and in doing so unleashed the wrath of this actor. Which begs the question, are the actors more indispensable than the people supporting them? Christian Bale at the time believed so, claiming the technician to be unprofessional and exclaimed, I ain't walking on this set if you're still hired. Made all the more comedic by a dude in a box costume being knocked over and reacting in an incredibly awkward way. Since the outburst, Christian has apologized and acknowledged his behavior wasn't appropriate. Other people who worked with Christian on set referred to Christian as a professional, charismatic man who was genuinely kind and admit that the strenuous timeline and long hours can cause people to be more on edge, and once the floodgates are open, there's little in a way that will stop it. Christian's career certainly hasn't faltered because of it, and we always love to see Christian's dedication and devotion on screen. Blinded by the music. Actor Jamie Foxx was set to play the musical genius himself, Ray Charles, in the movie Ray. Ray Charles is famously a musical master with the handicap of being blind. Yet that didn't stop him from reaching the top with masterpieces such as Hit the Road Jack and Unchain My Heart. To truly get inside the feeling of being blind, actor Jamie Foxx used prosthetic eyelids that left him blind for long durations of time, up to 14 hours. He began to suffer from extensive panic attacks that began to threaten the film's production. Ray Charles, at the time represented on screen, had recently stopped using heroin, and as a result his body was thinner than what a healthy man should be. Jamie Foxx went down the Anne Hathaway route of losing a significant amount of weight in order to mimic this heroin recovering body, and we've seen the dire effects malnutrition has on the body. Couple that with being blinded for large portions of the day, and you've got a recipe for mental disaster. Jamie Foxx began to talk about quitting the film after spending too much time in Ray Charles's head, which is a concept often left out in acting. Everyone questions their own identity, and actors spend so much time being other people, it requires strong will and mental fortitude to know who you are. Jamie Foxx's manager called in a psychiatrist to help with Jamie Foxx's mental health, ensuring the movie gets made without losing his mind. If you think the previous actors were intense, we're about to reveal some actors who went through physical violence and extreme mental anguish for their roles in the film. We recommend those who are faint of heart or prone to emotional outbursts should brace themselves for the next ones. Sylvester Stallone, hit me, do it! Sylvester Stallone plays the role of Rocky Balboa in Rocky IV. Rocky's the boxing champion who has lived his life and ready to retire. It isn't until Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, beats Rocky's friend to literal death, which forces Rocky to avenge his fallen friend by training relentlessly to teach this beast of a man, Ivan, a lesson. The Rocky series is a household name, and Sylvester Stallone wanted to make it iconic and realistic. None of that slap, clever camera angle and practice reaction. Sylvester wanted reality, and Ivan was a 0% body fat, monstrous man due to the training. During filming, Sylvester told Lundgren to actually punch him. Let's connect those punches. Forget all you know about the choreography. Just get out there and release the beast. Imagine it. You've allowed this lean, chiseled beast of a man to just unleash on you, and you're both staring into each other's eyes. No more acting, just pure passion. It wasn't until Sylvester woke up in the intensive care unit with nuns around his bed that he really understood the consequences of his request. He spent 9 days in intensive care with doctors joking that he got hit by a bus, and Sylvester agreed. The most damaging blows the uppercut, which caught the ribs and hit the heart against the ribcage. Everything turned out all right, and Lundgren joked, "All I did was obey orders." Nicolas Cage extracted Birdie. Nicolas Cage plays Alfonso Al Colombato, a friend of Birdie, a teenager who's fascinated with the concept of flight. Birds are of a particular interest, with the teen building wooden aviaries. This inevitably leads to him falling off a building onto sand. For most people, this would be a traumatic experience, and they'd grow an aversion to ledges and heights. But not for Birdie. This childlike wonder leads him to enlisting in the United States Army during the Vietnam War as perhaps obviously a pilot. Al is the best friend a Birdie could ever have, and the story follows disfigurement, torture, and emotional torture. Nicolas Cage had difficulty traveling to the places that the role wanted him to emotionally be at least to his standard. To truly understand the horrors of torture in war, Nicolas Cage had 2 teeth pulled with no anesthetic. This truly came through on screen as the lovable and charismatic Al is forced into a violent future where he is clasping Birdie in his arms in a white coat institution. A memorable moment due to a great sacrifice. Shia LaCour. We've seen Shia LaBeouf really come into his own as a celebrity, someone who isn't afraid to speak his mind and be devout to who he is as a person. For the movie Fury, Shia was dissatisfied with the makeup department and claimed the fake injuries were, well, just that, fake. Deep in his war-torn method acting, he encounters a fellow actor in the hallway and says, "Hey man, want to see something fun? Check this out," and proceeds to take out a knife and begin cutting his face, leaving the wounds open during the entire filming production. He mimics Nicolas Cage and has a tooth removed and refuses to wash himself to really get into the gritty war environment. You may be thinking he's crazy enough to remove a tooth with the knife he used to cut his cheeks, but he wasn't that crazy. He went to a dentist to get the tooth removed. Still, his intense personality no doubt had an effect on everyone else's acting. We believe for the better. The legend that is Heath Ledger. The Dark Knight is an iconic for the portrayal of, in our opinion, the best Jokers. Joaquin Phoenix and Jack Nicholson are definitely up there, but Heath Ledger pulls it out of the bag. Joker is an insane individual who sees the world as twisted and wrong, an absolute sociopath. To truly embody his role, Heath Ledger locked himself in a hotel room for a month with nothing but a mirror and his own laughter compiled with 2 hours of sleep per week. Building up this person who lacks empathy was physically and mentally draining, to which it's difficult and disrespectful to assume what was going through Ledger's mind at the moment of death, but it's been classified as an accidental drug overdose. Charismatic and legendary movie star will forever be remembered and treasured. Acting as someone else is truly a mentally and physically demanding job, and we're thankful to have such dedication and devotion by these actors. Do we miss any actors, actresses that you know took their role too far? What do you think of method acting as a whole? Stay with us for more informative content.